McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Assistance Act was passed and signed into law in 1987 under President Ronald Reagan, with the latest reauthorization taking place in December of 2015. It provided families experiencing a housing transition equal opportunities. It placed liaisons within the school districts along with funding.
The goal of the Families in Transition McKinney-Vento office is to ensure that homeless children and youth have access to a free, appropriate public education.
What we do in our office is we work to identify families and young people that may be experiencing a crisis that potentially may have resulted in a loss of housing. We connect the individuals and empower them with referrals and resources within the community. We're here to ensure that the students' rights are being met while they are at school.
The McKinney-Vento Act includes all displaced families that were forced out of their home for one reason or another, staying with relatives, staying at a hotel, or whatever, whereas before I thought a homeless family was just someone out on the street.
We work with young people that are not only experiencing a loss of housing, but they also are not in the physical custody of a parent or a legal guardian. These students are often referred to as unaccompanied youth.
They bounce from place to place. They're never in a legal situation where they have a legal adult caring for them. And those kids, when it comes senior year, they have to file for FAFSA, financial aid, to go to college. They can't file for FAFSA because their parents are not around.
It truly does take a village to raise a child. Our team works to ensure that we work to build relationship with the community organizations. Once we speak with a family or a student to assess their needs, then we're able to connect them with appropriate resources within the community.
Save the Family is really focused on the housing needs of families and also connecting them with the community services that are already available to them, but they may just not be aware of them. Families that are going through homelessness, their priority is almost always their children. And so having access to McKinney-Vento, having a great relationship with the liaisons in the schools is essential to keeping those kids stabilized.
In addition to connecting families with community organizations, we also build a solid partnership with these same agencies. That networking often leads to generous donations for our many students that are experiencing a housing crisis.
We feel that it is absolutely essential to build collaboration and relationship. This begins in the front office at each school site. This in turn allows us to better identify and serve the McKinney-Vento population within our school district.
When a parent walks in and I can sense that they may not have a proof of residence and they're concerned about maybe a problem that's going on, I try to ask more direct questions to see if I can help them. They fill out a student referral questionnaire, and from that form, it helps us to determine if they are in need of McKinney-Vento assistance.
One of the main concerns we hear often from parents is, how am I going to get my child to school? The McKinney-Vento Act enables school districts to eliminate the barriers for school enrollment and retention of these students experiencing homelessness. The lack of transportation can be considered a barrier. Transportation services allow a student to remain enrolled at a school they were attending when becoming homeless, without fear of having to transfer from school to school throughout the year.
My sophomore year, I didn't have McKinney-Vento, so I had to figure out a way to get from school and back. And that usually led to panhandling. I would have to ask random strangers for gas money, and it was really sketchy because there's some strange people out there.
I'm a single mom, and I have two daughters, 12 and 14, and we became homeless in July of 2013.
I lost my car and I would have no way of getting her back and forth to school.
And McKinney-Vento, Rita especially, had me come into her office. She gave me backpacks for each one of my girls, and she set up transportation for them. If it wasn't for that system, I don't know how I would have got my kids to school every day.
The program really helped me to be able to keep my daughter in the same school, as well as keeping her in the gifted program that she's in.
I didn't have to worry about getting a ride to school. I didn't have to worry about getting a ride home. By the time I graduated with honors. And I had a College Core GPA of 3.7. I was awarded the Dean Scholarship, which gave me $5,750.
You never know who you are going to encounter that may be in need of help. The reality is that many of us are one paycheck away from being homeless.
I recall an event that I was at, and we were challenged to name the 6 types of homeless people. Quickly, people responding with demographics or locations that perhaps you had seen homeless people at some point. Much to our surprise, we were all wrong. The 6 types of homeless people are mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, daughters, and sons.
All I need is a little bit of help. I just need one little push to get me through this hump I'm going through. I became very ill in December, was hospitalized in the ICU. As a result of McKinney-Vento, my kids had the stability that they needed. They had their home school to come to. And they were just so supportive of my kids. They still got the transportation that they needed. I found a home for my kids and myself. And they were supportive through the whole process.
I am so grateful for McKinney-Vento.
It's a huge difference that it makes in those students' lives.
And I'm just really appreciative of the McKinney-Vento program. It made everything easier, and I didn't have to stress about figuring out how to make money for school, and then I could eat for free. I didn't have to worry about finding lunch money. It just made everything a lot easier.